There is something inside you that is not yours. It has been living within you for years. It breathes with you, sleeps with you, thinks with you. It hides behind your decisions and acts as if it were you. But it's not you. It is something that imitated your voice until it stopped sounding strange. Something that slipped between your ribs, looked at you from inside, and said, "You belong to me." And you, without realizing it, nodded. You did it the first time you said just one more time. You did it when you told yourself you were in control while clenching your teeth on the edge of the abyss. But now it's too late. I'm going to tell you straight. There is a part of you that is rotten, and the worst part is that you've gotten used to its smell. You call it habit. You call it routine. You call it escape. But it's none of those things. It's a parasite, one that feeds on your broken promises, your noble intentions, your sick need to feel something when you no longer feel anything. Do you think you know what addiction is? Addiction is not just a syringe, a bottle, or a cigarette. Addiction is everything that consumes what you're not willing to face. And now listen carefully to this. You're not hooked on a substance. You're hooked on a lie. The lie that you need it. The lie that you can't live without it. The lie that you have it under control. But let me ask you a question. When was the last time you made a decision without consulting that voice? Don't answer me yet. I want you to visualize this. You are in a dark room. You don't know how you got there. You only know you can't get out. Every time you try to open a door, a shadow moves behind it. It whispers your name, and you follow it, like a trained dog, because you prefer that to being alone. Do you know the most perverse thing of all? That shadow has your shape. That is addiction. And you haven't beaten it because you haven't yet understood that it's inside you, not outside. It doesn't live in the substance. It lives in the void you don't want to look at. It's not a demon with horns. It's a wounded child you didn't know how to care for, who started building shelters of smoke and now rules you. Addiction doesn't scream. Addiction whispers. And it does so in your own tone of voice. Now tell me, how many times have you felt like you're watching yourself from outside, making the same mistakes over and over again, as if you were a spectator of your own ruin? How many times have you said, "This is the last time," while already knowing you were lying? And do you know why you lie? Because you've built an entire identity around your prison. You have decorated your cell, named it, made excuses for it. You've hung motivational phrases on the walls while the dampness eats you away from within. But I have news for you. What you don't face destroys you. Carl Jung said it bluntly. What you resist persists. And what you do not make conscious manifests in your life as destiny. And do you know what that means? That as long as you keep denying it, as long as you keep pretending it's just a phase, as long as you keep telling yourself you can control it, addiction will keep winning, and not as a visible enemy, but as a silent guest, like an emotional cancer that shows no symptoms until it's already too late. It has stolen your friends, opportunities, relationships, time, but above all, it has stolen you. And it has done so without violence, without scandal, with patience, with intelligence, because it doesn't need to break you all at once, it just needs you to break a little every day. And you do. You break into tiny pieces that you then sweep under the carpet of, "I'm fine." But you're not fine. You are at war, and you don't even know it. That's why this video is not a message of hope. It is a declaration of war. A warning, an autopsy while still alive. Because if you don't understand who's behind the wheel, you will keep driving toward your own destruction thinking you know where you're going. You don't. And as long as you don't know, You'll keep waking up with that pressure on your chest you can't explain. With that emptiness that isn't filled with food, sex, work, social media, or drugs. You will keep being a guest in your own flesh. So open your eyes, because after this, you will no longer be able to pretend you didn't know. After this, you will never again let addiction win. Never. Because now you have seen it. And once you see it, you can't go back. Because what comes next is even darker. It's not just that addiction has taken control, it's that it has rewritten you. It has shaped you. It has carved its form into your face. And now, look closely. You no longer know if what you see in the mirror is you or a perfect replica built by your own void. Because addiction doesn't only live in your actions, it lives in your identity. It has stuck to your name, your story, your inner voice. It has made you a puppet that believes it thinks for itself. Do you know why you haven't been able to leave it behind? Because you have made your pain a safe place. Because suffering, absurd as it sounds, is familiar. And the familiar soothes. It's that prison with bars so old, you confuse them with decoration. It's the room where you were locked up, but now you call home. Let me tell you something brutal. You're no longer fighting addiction. You're fighting yourself. Because if someone came to take that burden from you, a part of you would scream no. Because without it, you don't know what's left. You have turned the wound into a surname. You have memorized your relapses like chapters of a novel you refuse to close. You have come to love pain because at least pain makes you feel something. Because when you don't feel pain, you feel nothing. And that is the deepest abyss of all. What if you're nobody without your suffering? What if you don't know who you are beyond the habit that is killing you? Carl Jung understood it with terrifying clarity. One doesn't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And you've spent your whole life running from that shadow, when the solution is just the opposite. Look at it with all the horror it entails. Because your addiction is not a coincidence, it is a construction. Every avoided thought, every silenced emotion, every trauma swept under the rug has been a brick. And today, that wall is as tall as you. It has locked you in. And the most twisted part, you placed every one of those bricks. Addiction didn't come alone. You called it. You cultivated it. You protected it. You named it. You gave it permissions. You gave it power. And now you don't know how to live without asking permission from your jailer. How do you get out of a prison you designed yourself? First, by accepting that the door was never locked, that the only thing keeping you inside is fear, not of pain, but of freedom. Because when you are free, you will no longer have excuses. You will no longer be able to blame the past, nor your parents, nor the system, nor anxiety, nor insomnia. Only one figure will remain in front of the mirror. You. Clean, naked, unstable. And do you know what's scarier than being broken? Being whole and not knowing what to do with it. That's why you keep running away. That's why you keep coming back. Not out of weakness, but out of habit. Because chaos is more comfortable for you than silence. Because the internal noise is an old friend who at least talks to you, even if it's to drag you down. And you listen every damn time. But listen to this. Identity can also be rebuilt. You weren't born broken. You weren't born with this chain. You were born free. And then, little by little, you accepted that freedom wasn't for you. But it was a lie. I promise you, it was a lie. The world didn't conspire against you. You convinced yourself that you couldn't change anymore. Because change meant killing that part of you that you already love, even though it destroys you. Because it hurts to let go even of what harms you. Because toxic also gives warmth. But enough. Today another war begins. Not against the substance, not against the habit, not against addiction, Today you declare war on the version of yourself that got used to living in ruins, and it may tremble, and it may scream, but it doesn't matter, because that part is not you. It is the residue of a dark time that is about to end. Today, here, in this very moment, bury it, because you will no longer allow it to speak for you, because you have seen the monster up close, and it turns out it has your face, but it doesn't have your soul. Your soul is still there, waiting, dirty, wounded, but alive. And for the first time in a long time, it's looking at you. What are you going to do about it? Because it's not just about resisting the impulse. That's only the surface. Beneath, in the deepest layers of the mind, there is an even more uncomfortable truth. You have confused resistance with identity. You have defined yourself by what you try not to do, instead of by what you truly want to be. And that is devastating, because whoever lives only avoiding falling has already fallen. They just haven't realized it. You have been in survival mode for years. You walk through life as if everything were a threat, as if every conversation, every routine, every sleepless night were a secret internal battle. And in a way, it is. But you can't live your whole life defending yourself from yourself. You can't keep functioning like an emotional minefield. You need to understand this. You are not free as long as your only goal is not to explode. True freedom is not the absence of detonation. It is the ability to create without fear, to be at peace even in the middle of chaos. But for that, you need something that very few dare to seek: purpose. Not distraction, not empty goals, not New Year's promises. Purpose. And no, it's not something magical that falls from the sky. It is a decision, a violent act of renunciation, because finding purpose means giving up the version of you that feeds off the void. It means saying, enough of the one who self-destructs out of habit. The problem is that your brain has been rewired to survive in pain. Pleasure no longer soothes you. Healthy bores you. Good seems fake, because you have been in the dark for so long that the light bothers you. But that doesn't mean you should stay blind. It only means you are in a phase of adaptation. And that hurts. Purpose doesn't appear, it's made. With intention, with discipline, with channeled rage, and above all, with radical solitude. Because in this process, you will lose people. You will stop fitting in. You will make others uncomfortable. Because when you start to heal, you become a cruel mirror for those who still don't want to see themselves. And they will attack you. Not because they hate you, but because your change forces them to confront what they have been avoiding for years. Your freedom will be a threat to those who live chained by choice. But you owe them nothing. No explanations, no apologies, no validation. Because this journey is not about them. It's about you. About who you could become if you stop postponing your transformation. About what you could build if you invested in yourself as much as you invest in surviving every damn week. Think about this. You have spent years giving everything to maintain a life you don't even like. What would happen if you put that same effort into creating a life you do want to live? It wouldn't be easy, but it would be real. And that alone is a gain. Because fake wears you out more than difficult. No one breaks from physical exhaustion. We break from holding up personas, from pretending we're okay while we drown in habits that sabotage us. Enough. Authenticity is the first step toward healing, but not a fake authenticity from social media. I mean the raw kind, the kind that hurts, the kind that doesn't need to be aesthetic to be valid. Want to overcome your addiction? Start by destroying the persona that justifies it. The one that says you are like this. The one that repeats you can't change anymore. The the one that sits with crossed arms while the world burns and smiles as if everything is fine. Kill it. Because that persona is not you. It's a defense mechanism. It's an actor, an imposter, and it's had the microphone for too long. It's time for your voice to sound again, and to sound loud, to not say the same old things, to not repeat the same old phrases, to not apologize for wanting to be okay. Because being okay in a broken world is already an act of rebellion. And you didn't come here to be a spectator. You came to write your story, one without chains. One that doesn't end with the phrase, "He was a good person, but he couldn't handle his demons." Because you can. Not with superhuman strength, but with awareness, with truth, with the courage to look at your ruins and say, "Here I will build something new." And you will, even if you tremble, even if it's hard, even if it hurts, because you already decided. Because once you see the lie, you can no longer keep embracing it without vomiting. Because there is something inside you that still wants to live for real. Not just survive. Live. Breathe without guilt. Feel without fear. Choose without needing anesthesia. And if you've come this far, it's no coincidence. It's because that part that's still alive is shouting at you from inside. Don't ignore it this time. Don't silence it. Don't betray it. Give it space. Give it fire. Give it direction. Because it is the only real thing you have left, and it's waiting for you to finally take the reins. Because this time, addiction does not win. This time, you come back. And you come back awake. You come back whole. You come back without chains. And you come back awake. You come back whole. You come back without chains. And just when it seems you've come out of the darkness, you realize the most disturbing thing of all, that the light was never outside. It was always inside. You just had your eyes closed. The most brutal part of this story is that salvation was never an external promise. It was never a miracle treatment, nor an inspiring phrase, not even this video. Salvation was you, without the noise. You, without the mask. You, without fear. And you know it. You feel it. It's that chill you have right now. That discomfort you can't explain. That silent certainty that's telling you, finally, you are looking where you should. And now comes the hardest part of all. It's not fighting, it's choosing. Because yes, leaving self-destruction is hard, but building something new is even harder. Because now there are no excuses, no villains, no pretexts. Only your will facing the abyss of who you can become. And that abyss is not the end, it's the beginning. A virgin space where you can plant something real. And this time, without lies, without crutches, without masks. Because you have lived asleep too long. You obeyed that inner voice that said, "You can't," as if it were an oracle. But it was only fear disguised as truth. Now you don't hear it the same way. You don't kneel before it anymore. Because now you know the trick. You know it wasn't you. It never was. And here comes the most powerful part of all. When you decide to wake up, you wake others. Your transformation not only saves you, it splashes, it roars, it unsettles, it inspires. Someone is watching you, even if you don't know it. And your example can be the starting shot for another person. Maybe someone who never had the strength to admit they were broken. But now, seeing you, they dare. And now that we've made it this far, before we continue, I want to present the following to you. Our book, The Formula of Awakening, is now available. Do you feel like there's something inside you that wants to awaken, but you don't know where to start? Then I invite you to transform your way of thinking, and with it, your way of living. Discover who you can become. Start today. The link to get the ebook is in the first pinned comment of this video. Grab your copy now at a great price. With that said, let's continue with the video. And that is revolution. Not with banners, not with speeches, with actions, with integrity, with silent courage. And then, finally, you understand, overcoming addiction was not the end of your story. It was the prologue. The real book starts now. Page 1, awareness. Page 2, fire. Page 3, freedom. And you choose how it continues. You are the author, not the character. So write something worthy, something real, something that doesn't need to justify its existence, because you didn't come here to survive. You came to burn all that is fake and dance on the ashes. If you've gotten this far, don't ignore it. It's not a coincidence. It's your moment. Subscribe now if you're ready to write a new story, and if this video has resonated with you, leave me a phrase in the comments. I am not my shadow. I am the one who walks above it. That will be our mark, our symbol. A message only understood by those who have hit rock bottom and decided to build from there. And now, I say goodbye with one last image. Imagine that tonight, just before sleeping, you close your eyes, and for the first time, you don't hear the voice. Only silence, only you, only peace, and you smile because you know that this time the monster will not win again. Until then, disappear from the noise, break it all, and reappear unstoppable. See you in the shadows, or in the light.